Today is the 25th of August 2010, and this is the 37th time we are talking on the Samyutta Nikaya, on the Majjhima Nikaya. And now we come to Majjhima Nikaya Sutta number 90, Kannakatthala Sutta, at Kannakatthala. Thus have I heard. On one occasion, the Blessed One was living at Ujjunya in the Kannakatthala deer park. Now, on that occasion, King Pasenadi of Kosala had arrived at Ujjunya for some business or other. Then he told the man, "Come, good man, go to the Blessed One and pay homage in my name with your head at his feet and ask whether he is free from illness and affliction and is healthy, strong, and abiding in comfort," saying, "Venerable Sir, King Pasenadi of Kosala pays homage with his head at the Blessed One's feet and asks whether the Blessed One is free from illness and affliction, etc., and abiding in comfort, and say this, Venerable Sir, today King Pasenadi of Kosala will come to see the Blessed One after he has had his breakfast." "Yes, sire," the man replied. And he went to the Blessed One, and after paying homage to him, he sat down at one side and delivered his message. The sisters Soma and Sakula heard, "Today the King Pasenadi of Kosala will go to see the Blessed One after he has had his breakfast." Then while the meal was being served, the two sisters went to the king and said, "Sire, pay homage in our name with your head at the Blessed One's feet and ask whether he is free from illness and affliction, etc., saying, Venerable Sir, the sisters Soma and Sakula pay homage with their heads at the Blessed One's feet, and they ask whether he is free from illness and abiding in comfort." Stop here for a moment. These two sisters, Soma and Sakula, are supposed to be King Pasenadi's wives. Then when he had finished his breakfast, King Pasenadi of Kosala went to the Blessed One, and after paying homage to him, he sat down at one side and delivered the message of the sisters Soma and Sakula. And the Buddha said, "But great king, could the sisters Soma and Sakula find no other messenger?" "Venerable Sir, the sisters Soma and Sakula heard, today King Pasenadi of Kosala will go to see the Blessed One after he has had his breakfast. Then while the meal was being served, the sisters Soma and Sakula came to me and said, Sire, pay homage in our names with your head at the Blessed One's feet and ask whether he is free from illness and affliction, etc." And the Buddha said, "May the sisters Soma and Sakula be happy, great king." Then King Pasenadi of Kosala said to the Blessed One, "Venerable Sir, I have heard this. The recluse Gotama says, there is no recluse or Brahmin who is omniscient and all-seeing, who can claim to have complete knowledge and vision. That is not possible. Venerable Sir, do those who speak thus say what has been said by the Blessed One, and not misrepresent him with what is contrary to fact? Do they explain in accordance with the Dhamma in such a way that nothing that provides a ground for censure can be legitimately deduced from their assertions? Great king, those who speak thus do not say what has been said by me, but misrepresent me with what is untrue and contrary to fact." Then King Pasenadi of Kosala addressed General Vidudaba, "General, who introduced this story into the palace?" "It was Sanjaya, sire, the Brahmin of the Akasa clan." Then King Pasenadi of Kosala told a man, "Come, good man, in my name, tell Sanjaya, the Brahmin of the Akasa clan, Venerable Sir, King Pasenadi of Kosala calls you." "Yes, sire," the man replied. He went to Sanjaya, the Brahmin of the Akasa clan, and told him, "Venerable Sir, King Pasenadi of Kosala calls you." Meanwhile, King Pasenadi of Kosala said to the Blessed One, "Venerable Sir, could something else have been said by the Blessed One referring to that, and the person understood it wrongly? In what way does the Blessed One recall making that utterance? And the Buddha said, I recall having actually made the utterance in this way, great king. There is no recluse or Brahmin who knows all, who sees all simultaneously. That is not possible. And the king said, what the Blessed One has said appears reasonable. What the Blessed One has said appears to be supported by reason. There is no recluse or Brahmin who knows all, who sees all simultaneously. That is not possible. Stop here for a moment. So here it appears like at this point of time, King Pasenadi of Kosala was still new to the Buddha. So that's why he asked the Buddha about this. Whether ascetic or monk can be omniscient and all seem to have complete knowledge and vision. And the Buddha said, it is not possible for a recluse or Brahmin to know all and to see all simultaneously. What the Buddha means is that, like the Buddha is supposed to be omniscient and all-seeing, but he doesn't know everything all the time. Only when he wants to know something, he has to contemplate, and then after contemplating only, he can know. It's not automatic. He knows everything at the tips of his fingers. That is why we find in the Vinaya books, after the Buddha was enlightened, he wanted to understand this dependent origination fully. So after his enlightenment, he spent the whole night sitting in meditation, contemplating dependent origination. It is said the first 4 hours in the first watch of the night, from 6 p.m. until 10 p.m., he contemplated the arising of dependent origination. Then the middle watch from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., he contemplated the ceasing of dependent origination. And then the last watch, 2 to 6 a.m., he contemplated arising and ceasing of dependent origination. Then after 12 hours, then only he fully understood dependent origination. So it's not automatic that ascetic or anybody can know everything all the time. He has to contemplate. Then the king said, there are these 4 castes, Venerable Sir, the nobles, the Brahmins, the merchants and the workers. Is there any distinction or difference among them? And the Buddha said, there are these 4 castes, great king, the nobles, Brahmins, merchants and workers. 2 of them, that is the nobles and Brahmins, are held to be superior, since men pay homage to them, rise up for them and accord them reverential salutation and polite services. And the king said, Venerable Sir, I was not asking about this present life. I was asking about the life to come. There are these 4 castes, Venerable Sir, the nobles, Brahmins, merchants and workers. Is there any distinction or difference among them? The Buddha said, great king, there are these 5 factors of striving. What 5? Here a monk has faith. He places his faith in the Tathagata's enlightenment thus. The Blessed One is Arahant, Sammasambuddha, perfect in true knowledge and conduct, sublime, knower of worlds, incomparable leader of persons to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, enlightened, blessed. Then he is free from illness and affliction, possessing a good digestion that is neither too cool nor too warm, but medium, and able to bear the strain of striving. Then he is honest and sincere, and shows himself as he actually is to his teacher and his companions in the holy life. Then he is energetic in abandoning unwholesome states and in undertaking wholesome states, steadfast, launching his effort with firmness and persevering in cultivating wholesome states. Then he is wise. He possesses wisdom regarding rise and disappearance, that is noble and penetrative, and leads to the complete destruction of suffering. These are the 5 factors of striving. There are these 4 castes, great king, the nobles, Brahmins, merchants and workers. Now if they possess these 5 factors of striving, it would lead to their welfare and happiness for a long time. Venerable Sir, there are these 4 castes, the nobles, Brahmins, merchants and workers. Now if they possess these 5 factors of striving, would there be any difference among them here in that respect? Here, great king, I say that the difference among them would lie in the diversity of their striving. Suppose there were 2 tameable elephants or tameable horses or tameable oxen that were well tamed and well disciplined, and 2 tameable elephants or tameable horses or tameable oxen that were untamed and undisciplined. What do you think, great king? Would the 2 tameable elephants or tameable horses or tameable oxen that were well tamed and well disciplined, being tamed, acquire the behavior of the tamed? Would they arrive at the grade of the tamed? Yes, Venerable Sir. And would the 2 tameable elephants or tameable horses or tameable oxen that were untamed and undisciplined, being untamed, acquire the behavior of the tamed? Would they arrive at the grade of the tamed, like the 2 elephants or horses or oxen that were well tamed and well disciplined? No, Venerable Sir. So too, great king, it is not possible that what can be achieved by one who has faith, who is free from illness, who is honest and sincere, who is energetic, who is wise, can be achieved by one who has no faith, who has much illness, who is fraudulent and deceitful, who is lazy and who is not wise. What the Blessed One has said appears reasonable. What the Blessed One has said appears to be supported by reason. Stop here for a moment. So here, when the king asked the Buddha whether after this lifetime, in the future lifetime, would there be any difference between the 4 castes, people, whether they nobles, Brahmins, merchants and workers. And the Buddha said there are these 5 factors of striving. If they possess these factors of striving, then they would arrive at the grade of the tame. But if they don't possess these factors of striving, then they cannot. And the king asks again, there are these 4 castes, Venerable Sir, the nobles, Brahmins, merchants and workers. Now if they possess these 5 factors of striving, and if their striving was right, would there be any difference among them in that respect? Here, great king, in this respect, I say that among them there is no difference, that is, between the deliverance of one and the deliverance or liberation of the others. Suppose a man took dry saka wood, lit a fire and produced heat, and then another man took dry sala wood, lit a fire and produced heat, and then another man took dry mango wood, lit a fire and produced heat, and then another man took dry fig wood, lit a fire and produced heat. What do you think, great king? Would there be any difference among these fires lit with different kinds of wood, that is, between the flame of one and the flames of the others, or between the color of one and the color of the others, or between the radiance of one and the radiances of the others? No, Venerable Sir. So too, great king, when a fire is kindled by energy, lit by striving, there is, I say, no difference, that is, between the liberation of one and the liberation of the others. What the Blessed One has said appears reasonable. What the Blessed One has said appears to be supported by reason. So the Buddha says, if these people, no matter what caste, if they possess these factors of striving and attain liberation, and there is no difference in their liberation. But Venerable Sir, how is it? Are there gods? Why do you ask that, great king? Venerable Sir, I was asking whether those gods come back to this human state or whether they do not. Great king, those gods who are still subject to affliction come back to this human state. Those gods who are no longer subject to affliction do not come back to this human state. When this was said, General Vidhu Daba asked the Blessed One, Venerable Sir, can those gods who are still subject to affliction and who come back to this human state topple or banish from that place those gods who are no longer subject to affliction and do not come back to this human state? Then the Venerable Ananda thought, this General Vidhu Daba is the son of King Pasenadi of Kosala, and I am the son of the Blessed One. This is the time for one son to talk with the other. He said to General Viduddhaba, "General, I shall ask you a question in return. Answer it as you choose. General, what do you think? There is the whole extent of King Pasenadi of Kosala's realm, where he exercises lordship and sovereignty. Now can King Pasenadi of Kosala topple or banish from that place any recluse or Brahmin, irrespective of whether that recluse or Brahmin has merit or not, and whether he leads the holy life or not? He can do so, sir." "What do you think, General? There is the whole extent that is not King Pasenadi of Kosala's realm, where he does not exercise lordship and sovereignty. Now can King Pasenadi of Kosala topple or banish from that place any recluse or Brahmin, irrespective of whether that recluse or Brahmin has merit or not, and whether he leads the holy life or not?" "He cannot do so, sir." "General, what do you think? Have you heard of the gods of the 33? "Yes, sir, I have heard of them. And King Pasenadi of Kosala has heard of them too." "General, what do you think? Can King Pasenadi of Kosala topple the gods of the 33 or banish them from that place?" "Sir, King Pasenadi of Kosala cannot even see the gods of the 33, so how can he topple them or banish them from that place? So too, General, those gods who are still subject to affliction and who come back to this human state cannot even see those gods who are no longer subject to affliction and who do not come back to this human state. So how could they topple them or banish them from that place?" Then King Pasenadi of Kosala asked the Blessed One, "Venerable Sir, what is this monk's name?" "His name is Ananda, great king." Ananda, which means joy. Yeah? He is indeed, Venerable Sir, and Ananda he appears. What the Venerable Ananda has said appears reasonable. What he has said appears to be supported by reason. So when he found that the Venerable Ananda's name was Joy, he said, "Joy he is indeed. Joy he appears." So this general just now he asked whether those gods who come back to this human state, whether they can topple those gods who do not come back. He didn't realize that the gods who do not come back are at a higher level. So the lower level gods cannot see the higher level gods. How can they banish them? "But Venerable Sir, how is it? Are there Brahmas?" Brahmas are these type of gods that Indians like to pray to. "Why do you ask that, great king?" "Venerable Sir, I was asking whether those Brahmas come back to this human state or whether they do not." "Great king, any Brahma who is still subject to affliction comes back to this human state. Any Brahma who is no longer subject to affliction does not come back to this human state." Then a man announced to King Pasenadi of Kosala, "Great king, Sanjaya, the Brahmin of the Akasa clan, has come." King Pasenadi of Kosala asked Sanjaya, the Brahmin of the Akasa clan, "Brahmin, who introduced this story to the palace?" "Sire, it was King Viduddhaba." General Viduddhaba said, "Sire, it was Sanjaya, the Brahmin of the Akasa clan." Then a man announced to King Pasenadi of Kosala, "Sire, it is time to depart." King Pasenadi of Kosala said to the Blessed One, "Venerable Sir, we have asked the Blessed One about omniscience, and the Blessed One has answered about omniscience. We approve of and accept that answer, and so we are satisfied. We have asked the Blessed One about purification in the four castes, and the Blessed One has answered about purification in the four castes. We approve of and accept that answer, and so we are satisfied. We have asked the Blessed One about the gods, and the Blessed One has answered about the gods. We approve of and accept that answer, and so we are satisfied. We have asked the Blessed One about the Brahmas, and the Blessed One has answered about the Brahmas. We approve of and accept that answer, and so we are satisfied. Whatever we ask the Blessed One, that the Blessed One has answered. We approve of and accept those answers, and so we are satisfied. And now, Venerable Sir, we depart. We are busy and have much to do. Now is the time, great king, to do as you think fit." Then King Pasenadi of Kosala, having delighted and rejoiced in the Blessed One's words, rose from his seat, and after paying homage to the Blessed One, keeping him on his right, he departed. That's the end of the sutta. So So when this Brahmin, Sanjaya of the Akasa clan, the general said he is the one who said that the Buddha said that, what did he say earlier? There is no recluse or Brahmin who is omniscient and all-seeing, who can claim to have complete knowledge and vision. That is not possible. So the general Vidudabha said this, Sanjaya, the Brahmin, said this. But when the king asked him, he got frightened. He said, I didn't say that. His general said that. And the general said, I didn't say that. So then probably one of the persons, he saw this difficult situation, then he told the king, it's time to depart. But it's actually a small matter. But when they come in front of the king, everybody is afraid of the king. They don't want to take the blame. So this sutta shows that at that time, King Pasenadi of Kosala, who later became a very staunch supporter of the Buddha, at that time he still did not understand much of the Dhamma. Still didn't understand much of the Buddha also. So he had a lot of questions to ask. It's only later he understood, had no more questions to ask. Okay, now we come to the next sutta, 91. This section is on the Brahmins, Brahmana Vaga. So there's a few interesting suttas here. 91 is Brahmayu Sutta, Brahmayu. Thus have I heard, on one occasion the Blessed One was wandering in the country of the Videhans with a large sangha of monks, with 500 monks. Now on that occasion, the Brahmin Brahmayu was living at Mithila. He was old, aged, burdened with years, advanced in life, and come to the last stage. He was in his 120th year. He was a master of the three Vedas, with their vocabularies, liturgy, phonology, and etymology, and the histories as a fifth. Skilled in philology and grammar, he was fully versed in natural philosophy and in the marks of a great man. Stop here for a moment. This here is a stock description of a learned Brahmin. All learned Brahmins are supposed to be master of the three Vedas, etc. The Brahmin Brahmayu heard the recluse Gotama, the son of the Sakyans, who went forth from a Sakyan clan, has been wandering in the country of the Videhans with a large sangha of monks, with 500 monks. Now a good report of Master Gotama has been spread to this effect. The Blessed One is Arahant, Sammasambuddha, perfect in true knowledge and conduct, sublime, knower of worlds, the incomparable leader of persons to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, enlightened, blessed. He declares this world with its gods, its maras and its brahmas, this generation with its recluses and brahmins, with its princes and its people, which he has himself realized with direct knowledge. He teaches the Dhamma that is good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good in the end, with the right meaning and phrasing. Now he reveals a holy life that is utterly perfect and pure. It is good to see such arahants. Now at that time the Brahmin Brahmayu had a young Brahmin student named Uttara, who was a master of the three Vedas, with their vocabularies, liturgy, phonology, and etymology, and the histories as a fifth. Skilled in philology and grammar, he was fully versed in natural philosophy and in the marks of a great man. This is another learned Brahmin. He told his student, my dear Uttara, the recluse Gotama, the son of the Sakyans, who went forth from a Sakyan clan, has been wandering in the country of the Videhans with a large sangha of monks, with 500 monks. Now it is good to see such arahants. Come, my dear Uttara, go to the recluse Gotama and find out whether the report spread about him is true or not, and whether Master Gotama is one such as this or not. Thus we shall know about Master Gotama through you. But how shall I find out, sir, whether the report spread about Master Gotama is true or not, and whether Master Gotama is one such as this or not? My dear Uttara, the 32 marks of a great man have been handed down in our hymns, and the great man who is endowed with them has only two possible destinies, no other. If he lives the home life, he becomes a wheel-turning monarch, a righteous king who rules by the Dhamma, master of the four quarters, all victorious, who has stabilized his country and possesses the seven treasures. He has these seven treasures: the wheel treasure, elephant treasure, horse treasure, jewel treasure, woman treasure, steward treasure, counselor and counselor treasure as the seventh. His children, who exceed 1,000, are brave and heroic, and crush the armies of others. Over this earth, bounded by the ocean, he rules without a rod, without a weapon, by means of the Dhamma. But if he goes forth from the home life into homelessness, he becomes an Arahant, Sammasambuddha, who draws aside the veil in the world. But I, my dear Uttara, am the giver of the hymns. You are the receiver of them. Yes, sir, he replied. He rose from his seat, and after paying homage to the Brahmin Brahmayu, keeping him on his right, he left for the country of the Videhans, where the Blessed One was wandering. Stop here for a moment. So this Brahmayu, already very old, 120 years old, he wanted to find out whether actually this Samana Gotama, he was actually, like people say, that he was Arahant Sammasambuddha and possessed the 32 marks of a great man. So he asked his student, Uttara, to go and find out. Traveling by stages, he came to the Blessed One and exchanged greetings with him. When this courteous and amiable talk was finished, he sat down at one side and looked for the 32 marks of a great man on the Blessed One's body. He saw more or less the 32 marks of a great man on the Blessed One's body, except two. He was doubtful and uncertain about two of the marks, and he could not decide and make up his mind about them, about the male organ being enclosed in a sheath, and about the largeness of the tongue. Then it occurred to the Blessed One, this Brahmin student, Uttara, sees more or less the 32 marks of a great man on me, except two. He is doubtful and uncertain about two of the marks, and he cannot decide and make up his mind about them, about the male organ being enclosed in a sheath, and about the largeness of the tongue. Then the Blessed One worked such a feat of supernormal power that the Brahmin student, Uttara, saw that the Blessed One's male organ was enclosed in a sheath. Next, the Blessed One extruded his tongue, and he repeatedly touched both ear holes and both nostrils, and he covered the whole of his forehead with his tongue. Then the Brahmin student, Uttara, thought, the recluse Gotama is endowed with the 32 marks of a great man. Suppose I were to follow the recluse Gotama and observe his behavior. Then he followed the Blessed One for 7 months like a shadow, never leaving him. At the end of the 7 months, in the country of the Videhans, he set out to journey to Mithila, where the Brahmin Brahmayu was. When he arrived, he paid homage to him and sat down at one side. Thereupon the Brahmin Brahmayu asked him, well, my dear Uttara, is the report that has been spread about Master Gotama true or not? And is Master Gotama one such as this or not? The report that has been spread about Master Gotama is true, sir, and not otherwise. And Master Gotama is one such as this and not otherwise. He possesses the 32 marks of a great man. 1. Master Gotama sets his foot down squarely. This is a mark of a great man in Master Gotama. 2. On the soles of his feet there are wheels with 1,000 spokes and ribs and hubs all complete. 3. He has projecting heels. 4. He has long fingers and toes. 5. His hands and feet are soft and tender. 6. He has netted hands and feet. 7. His feet are arched. 8. He has legs like an antelope's. 9. When he stands without stooping, the palms of both his hands touch and rub against his knees. 10. His male organ is enclosed in a sheath. 11. He is the color of gold. His skin has a golden sheen. 12. He is fine-skinned, and because of the fineness of his skin, dust and dirt do not stick on his body. 13. His body hairs grow singly, each body hair growing alone in a hair socket. 14. The tips of his body hairs turn up. The upturned body hairs are blue-black, the color of collyrium, curled and turned to the right. 15. He has the straight limbs of a Brahma. 16. He has 7 convexities. The 7 convexities means the backs of the 4 limbs and the 2 shoulders and the trunk. He has the torso of a lion. 17. 18. The furrow between his shoulders is filled in. 19. He has the spread of a banyan tree. The span of his arms equals the height of his body, and the height of his body equals the span of his arms. 20. His neck and his shoulders are even. 21. His taste is supremely acute. 22. He is lion-jawed. 23. He has 40 teeth. 24. His teeth are even. 25. His teeth are without gaps. 26. His teeth are quite white. 27. He has a large tongue. 28. He has a divine voice like the call of the Karavika bird. 29. His eyes are deep blue. 30. He has the eyelashes of an ox. 31. He has hair growing in the space between his eyebrows, which is white with the sheen of soft cotton. 32. His head is shaped like a turban. This is a mark of a great man in Master Gotama. Master Gotama is endowed with these 32 marks of a great man. I'll stop here for a moment. So these 32 marks of a great man are what the Brahmins believe in. Not sure. So he says the Buddha has all these marks. I don't know whether it's true or not. When he walks, he steps out with the right foot first. He does not extend his foot too far or put it down too near. He walks neither too quickly nor too slowly. He walks without his knees knocking together. He walks without his ankles knocking together. He walks without raising or lowering his thighs, or bringing them together or keeping them apart. When he walks, only the lower part of his body oscillates, and he does not walk with bodily effort. When he turns to look, he does so with his whole body. He does not look up. He does not look straight up. He does not look straight down. He does not walk looking about. He looks a plow's yoke length before him. Beyond that, he has unhindered knowledge and vision. When he goes indoors, he does not raise or lower his body, or bend it forward or back. He turns round neither too far from the seat nor too near it. He does not lean on the seat with his hand. He does not throw his body onto the seat. When seated indoors, he does not fidget with his hands. He does not fidget with his feet. He does not sit with his knees crossed. He does not sit with his ankles crossed. He does not sit with his hand holding his chin. When seated indoors, he is not afraid. He does not shiver or tremble. He is not nervous. Being unafraid, not shivering or trembling or nervous, his hair does not stand up, and he is intent on seclusion. When he receives the water for the bowl, he does not raise or lower the bowl, or tip it forwards or backwards. He receives neither too little nor too much water for the bowl. He washes the bowl without making a splashing noise. He washes the bowl without turning it around. He does not put the bowl onto the floor to wash his hands. When his hands are washed, the bowl is washed, and when the bowl is washed, his hands are washed. He pours the water for the bowl neither too far nor too near, and he does not pour it about. When he receives rice, he does not raise or lower the bowl, or tip it forwards or backwards. He receives neither too little rice nor too much rice. He adds sauces in the right proportion. He does not exceed the right amount of sauce in the mouthful. He turns the mouthful over 2 or 3 times in his mouth, and then swallows it. And no rice kernels enters his body unchewed, and no rice kernel remains in his mouth. Then he takes another mouthful. He takes his food experiencing the taste, though not experiencing greed for the taste. The food he takes has 8 factors. It is neither for amusement, nor for intoxication, nor for the sake of physical beauty and attractiveness, but only for the endurance and continuance of his body, for the ending of discomfort, and for assisting the holy life. He considers, thus I shall terminate old feelings without arousing new feelings, and I shall be healthy and blameless, and shall live in comfort. Stop here for a moment. Most of these what is described here is found in the 75 minor precepts of the monks Patimokkha. All this is concerning conduct, how to conduct oneself, which is also applicable for all samaneras. When he has eaten and receives water for the bowl, he does not raise or lower the bowl or tip it forwards or backwards. He receives neither too little nor too much water for the bowl. He washes the bowl without making a splashing noise. He washes the bowl without turning it round. He does not put the bowl on the floor to wash his hands. When his hands are washed, the bowl is washed. And when the bowl is washed, his hands are washed. He pours the water for the bowl neither too far nor too near, and he does not pour it about. When he has eaten, he puts the bowl on the floor, neither too far nor too near, and he is neither careless of the bowl nor over-solicitous about it. When he has eaten, he sits in silence for a while, but he does not let the time for the blessing go by. When he has eaten and gives the blessing, he does not do so criticizing the meal or expecting another meal. He instructs, urges, rouses, and encourages that audience with talk purely on the Dhamma. When he has done so, he rises from his seat and departs. Stop here for a moment. So here, after the meal, this blessing is not like nowadays. Nowadays, a lot of monks do chanting, blessing. But in the Buddha's time, the blessing means he gives a short Dhamma talk. Buddha gives a short Dhamma talk to educate the people on the Dhamma before leaving. He walks neither too fast nor too slow, and he does not go as one who wants to get away. His robe is worn neither too high nor too low on his body, nor too tight against his body, nor too loose on his body, nor does the wind blow his robe away from his body. Dust and dirt do not soil his body. When he has gone to the monastery, he sits down on a seat made ready. Having sat down, he washes his feet, though he does not concern himself with grooming his feet. Having washed his feet, he seats himself cross-legged, sets his body erect, and establishes mindfulness in front of him. He does not occupy his mind with self-affliction, or the affliction of others, or the affliction of both. He sits with his mind set on his own welfare, on the welfare of others, and on the welfare of both, even on the welfare of the whole world. When he has gone to the monastery, he teaches the Dhamma to an audience. He neither flatters nor berates that audience. He instructs, urges, rouses, and encourages it with talk purely on the Dhamma. The speech that issues from his mouth has 8 qualities. It is distinct, intelligible, melodious, audible, ringing, euphonious, deep, and sonorous. But while his voice is intelligible as far as the audience extends, his speech does not issue out beyond the audience. When the people have been instructed, urged, roused, and encouraged by him, they rise from their seats and depart looking only at him and concerned with nothing else. We have seen Master Gotama walking, sir. We have seen him standing. We have seen him entering indoors. We have seen him indoors seated in silence after eating. We have seen him giving the blessing after eating. We have seen him going to the monastery in silence. We have seen him in the monastery teaching the Dhamma to an audience. Such is the Master Gotama. Such he is, and more than that. When this was said, the Brahmin Brahmayu rose from his seat, and after arranging his upper robe on one shoulder, he extended his hands in reverential salutation towards the Blessed One, and uttered this exclamation 3 times, Honor to the Blessed One, Arahant Sammasambuddha. That means in Pali, it'll be Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. I chanted this 3 times. Perhaps sometime or other we might meet Master Gotama. Perhaps we might have some conversation with him. Stop here for a moment. So after his disciple Uttara described the Buddha to this Brahmin Brahmayu, he was very impressed. So he extended his hands in Anjali, reverential salutation towards where the Blessed One was, and chanted Namo Tassa 3 times. Then in the course of his wandering, the Blessed One eventually arrived at Mithila. There the Blessed One lived in Makadeva's mango grove. The Brahmin householders of Mithila heard, the recluse Gotama, son of the Sakyans who went forth from the Sakyan clan, has been wandering in the country of the Videhans with a large sangha of monks, with 500 monks, and he has now come to Mithila and is living in Makadeva's mango grove. Now a good report of Master Gotama has been spread to this effect, etc., etc. Then the Brahmin householders of Mithila went to the Blessed One. Some paid homage to the Blessed One and sat down at one side. Some exchanged greetings with him, and when this courteous and amiable talk was finished, sat down at one side. Some extended their hands in reverential salutation towards him and sat down at one side. Some pronounced their name and clan in the Blessed One's presence and sat down at one side. Some kept silent and sat down at one side. The Brahmin Brahmayu heard, the recluse Gotama, the son of the Sakyans who went forth from the Sakyan clan, has arrived in Mithila and is living in Makadeva's mango grove in Mithila. Then the Brahmin Brahmayu went to Makadeva's mango grove with a number of Brahmin students. When he came to the mango grove, he thought, it is not proper that I should go to the recluse Gotama without first being announced. Then he addressed a certain Brahmin student, come, Brahmin student, go to the recluse Gotama and ask in my name whether the recluse Gotama is free from illness and affliction and is healthy, strong and abiding in comfort, saying, Master Gotama, the Brahmin Brahmayu asks whether Master Gotama is free from illness and affliction, etc. And say this, the Brahmin Brahmayu, Master Gotama, is old, aged, burdened with years, advanced in life, and come to the last stage. He is in his 120th year. He is a master of the three Vedas with their vocabularies, liturgy, phonology and etymology, and the histories as a fifth, skilled in philology and grammar. He is fully versed in natural philosophy and in the marks of a great man. Of all the Brahmin householders who live in Mithila, the Brahmin Brahmayu is pronounced the foremost of them in wealth, in knowledge of the hymns, and in age and fame. He wants to see Master Gotama. Yes, sir, the Brahmin student replied. He went to the Blessed One and exchanged greetings with him. And when this courteous and amiable talk was finished, he stood at one side and delivered his message. The Blessed One said, now is the time for the Brahmin Brahmayu to do as he thinks fit. Then the Brahmin student went to the Brahmin Brahmayu and said, permission has been granted by the recluse Gotama. Now is the time, sir, to do as you think fit. I'll stop here for a moment. So you see this old Brahmayu, he asked his student to go and announce to the Buddha that he wanted to see him. So he didn't ask the student to go and pay homage to the Buddha. These Brahmins, they think they are superior. They are the most superior caste. So he didn't. He just asked the student to ask whether the recluse Gotama is free from illness and affliction, etc. So this Brahmayu just went and exchanged courtesies with the Buddha and said that the master wants to see him. Then the Buddha said, you can do so. So the Brahmin Brahmayu went to the Blessed One. The assembly saw him coming in the distance. By the way, just now he mentioned he is the wealthiest Brahmin in this Mithila, and the most famous and the most knowledgeable and the oldest. So the Brahmin Brahmayu went to the Blessed One. The assembly saw him coming in the distance, and they at once made way for him, as for one who was well known and famous. Then the Brahmin Brahmayu said to the assembly, enough, sirs, let each sit down in his own seat. I shall sit here next to the recluse Gotama. Then he went to the Blessed One and exchanged greetings with him. And when this courteous and amiable talk was finished, he sat down at one side and looked for the 32 marks of a great man on the Blessed One's body. He saw more or less the 32 marks of the great man on the Blessed One's body, except two. He was doubtful about two of the marks, and he could not decide and make up his mind about them, about the male organ being enclosed in the sheath, and about the largeness of the tongue. Then the Brahmayu, addressed the Blessed One in stanzas. The 32 marks I learned, that are the signs of a great man. I still do not see two of these upon your body, Gotama. Is what should be concealed by cloth, hid in a sheath, greatest of men. Though called by a word of feminine gender, perhaps your tongue is a manly one. So stop here for a moment. This word of a feminine gender, the Pali is jiva. Jiva is the term for tongue, and it is spoken in the feminine gender. Perhaps your tongue is large as well. According to what we have been taught, please put it out a little bit, and so, O seer, cure our doubt, for welfare in this very life and happiness in lives to come. And now we crave for leave to ask something that we aspire to know. Then it occurred to the Blessed One, this Brahmayu sees more or less the 32 marks of a great man on me, except two. He is doubtful and uncertain about two of the marks, and he cannot decide and make up his mind about them, about the male organ being enclosed in a sheath, and about the largeness of the tongue. Then the Blessed One worked such a feat of supernormal power or psychic power that the Brahmayu saw that the Blessed One's male organ was enclosed in a sheath. Next, the Blessed One extruded his tongue, and he repeatedly touched both ear lobes and both nostrils, and he covered the whole of his forehead with his tongue. Then the Blessed One spoke these stanzas in reply to the Brahmayu. The 32 marks you learn, that are the signs of a great man, all on my body can be found. So Brahmin, doubt no more on that. What must be known is directly known. What must be developed has been developed. What must be abandoned has been abandoned. Therefore, Brahmin, I am a Buddha. For welfare in this very life and happiness in lives to come, since leave is given you, please ask whatever you aspire to know. Then the Brahmayu thought, permission has been granted me by the recluse Gotama. Which should I ask him about? Good in this life or good in the lives to come? Then he thought, I am skilled in the good of this life, and others too ask me about good in this life. Why shouldn't I ask him about good in the lives to come? Then he addressed the Blessed One in stanzas. How does one become a Brahmana? Stop here for a moment. This word Brahmana has two meanings. One is a holy man, and it also means a Brahmin. Originally, the Brahmin caste, the priest caste, were holy men. All of them were renunciants, but later they became advisors to the king, and they were no longer ascetics, no longer practicing the holy path. So the word Brahmana can either mean the Brahmin caste or the holy man. In this case, is referring to the holy man. How does one become? So if I refer to the holy man, I say Brahmana. If I refer to the Brahmin caste, I would just say Brahmin. Although in Pali the two words are the same. How does one become a Brahmana? And how does one attain to knowledge? How has one the triple knowledge? And how does one become a holy scholar? How does one become an Arahant? And how does one attain completeness? How is one a silent sage? And how can one be called a Buddha? Then the Blessed One spoke these stanzas in reply. Who knows about his former lives, sees heaven and states of deprivation, and has arrived at birth's destruction. A sage who knows by direct knowledge, who knows his mind is purified, entirely freed from every lust, who has abandoned birth and death, who is complete in the holy life, who has transcended everything. One such as this is called the Buddha. When this was said, the Brahmayu rose from his seat, and after arranging his upper robe on one shoulder, he prostrated himself with his feet at the Blessed One's feet, and he covered the Blessed One's feet with kisses and caressed them with his hands, pronouncing his name. I am the Brahmayu, Master Gotama. I am the Brahmayu, Master Gotama. Those in the assembly wondered and marveled And they said, "It is wonderful, sirs, it is marvelous. What great power and great might the recluse Gotama has, for the well-known and famous Brahmin, Brahmayu, to make such a display of humility." Stop here for a moment. So you see, initially this Brahmayu, he thought he was a very famous Brahmin, refused to pay respect to the Buddha. But when the Buddha said that the Buddha has finished his work, you can see his former lives, you can see heaven and hell, and destroyed birth and the cycle of birth and death, and is a Buddha, then he accepted that the Buddha was speaking the truth. Then only he was willing to humble himself and pay respect to the Buddha. A lot of people are like that. When they're new to the Dhamma, they find it very difficult to pay respect. But when they understand the Dhamma, then only they are willing to humble themselves. Then the Blessed One said to the Brahmin, Brahmayu, "Enough, Brahmin, arise, sit down in your own seat, since your mind has confidence in me." The Brahmin, Brahmayu, then rose and sat down in his own seat. The Blessed One then gave him progressive instruction, that is, talk on giving, dana, talk on virtue, sila, talk on the heavens. He explained the danger, degradation and defilement in sensual pleasures, and the blessing of renunciation. When he knew that the Brahmin Brahmayu's mind was ready, receptive, free from hindrances, elated and confident, he expounded to him the special teaching to the Buddhas, suffering, dukkha, its origin, its cessation, and the path. Just as a clean cloth with all marks removed would take dye evenly, so too, while the Brahmin Brahmayu sat there, the spotless, immaculate vision of the Dhamma arose in him. All that is subject to arising is subject to cessation. Then the Brahmin Brahmayu saw the Dhamma, attained the Dhamma, understood the Dhamma, fathomed the Dhamma. He crossed beyond doubt, did away with perplexity, gained intrepidity, and became independent of others in the teacher's dispensation. In other words, he attained stream entry. Then he said to the Blessed One, "Magnificent Master Gotama, magnificent Master Gotama. Master Gotama has made the Dhamma clear in many ways, as though he were turning upright what had been overthrown, revealing what was hidden, showing the way to one who was lost, or holding up a lamp in the dark for those with eyesight to see forms. I go to Master Gotama for refuge, and to the Dhamma, and to the Sangha of monks. From today, let Master Gotama remember me as a lay follower who has gone to him for refuge for life. Let the Blessed One, together with the Sangha of monks, consent to accept tomorrow's meal from me." The Blessed One consented in silence. Then, knowing that the Blessed One had consented, the Brahmin Brahmayu rose from his seat, and after paying homage to the Blessed One, keeping him on his right, he departed. Then when the night had ended, the Brahmin Brahmayu had good food of various kinds prepared in his residence, and he had the time announced to the Blessed One, "It is time, Master Gotama, the meal is ready." Then, it being morning, the Blessed One dressed, and taking his bowl and outer robe, he went with the Sangha of monks to the Brahmin Brahmayu's residence, and sat down on the seat made ready. Then for a week, with his own hands, the Brahmin Brahmayu served and satisfied the Sangha of monks, headed by the Buddha, with various kinds of good food. At the end of that week, the Blessed One set out to wander in the country of the Videhans. Soon after he had gone, the Brahmin Brahmayu died. Then a number of monks went to the Blessed One, and after paying homage to him, they sat down at one side and said, "Venerable Sir, the Brahmin Brahmayu has died. What is his destination? What is his future course?" The Buddha replied, "Monks, the Brahmin Brahmayu was wise. He entered into the way of the Dhamma, and he did not trouble me in the interpretation of the Dhamma. With the destruction of the 5 lower fetters, he has reappeared spontaneously in the pure abodes, and will there attain final Nibbana, without ever returning from that world." That is what the Blessed One said. The monks were satisfied and delighted in the Blessed One's words. That's the end of the sutta. So here, you see, when somebody is new, comes to the Buddha to learn the Dhamma, the Buddha teaches him this graduated discourse consisting of 9 things. First is the dana, charity. Second is sila. And the third, because of dana and sila, a person goes to heaven. And then fourth, after he enjoys himself in heaven, then the Buddha explains the danger, the degradation, defilement in sensual pleasures, how the vanity of sensual pleasures, how it is never satisfied. And then after that, the blessing of renunciation, number 5. Then after that, when the Buddha sees that the person is ready, then is followed by the 4 noble truths. So 5 plus 4 topics, that's 9 topics. These 9 topics we have tried to copy in our book, Message of the Buddha, So this, at the end of after hearing that Dhamma, this Brahmayu took refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. In other words, he changed his religion from being a Brahmin, one of the Brahmin, although he still belonged to the Brahmin caste, but instead of following the Brahmin religion, now he followed the Buddha's religion, became a disciple of the Buddha. Sutta number 92, Sela Sutta, to Sela. Thus have I heard, on one occasion the Blessed One was wandering in the country of the Anguttarapans with a large Sangha of monks, with 1,250 monks, and eventually he arrived at a town of the Anguttarapans called Apana. The matted hair ascetic Kenya heard, the recluse Gotama, the son of the Sakyans who went forth from the Sakyan clan, has been wandering in the country of the Anguttarapans with a large Sangha of monks, with 1,250 monks, and he has come to Apana. Now good report of Master Gotama has been spread to this effect, etc. There is an Arahant. Now it is good to see such Arahants. Stop here for a moment. This matted hair ascetic, the Pali word is Jatila. Jatila, they keep long hair, and the hair is kept matted. Now then the matted hair ascetic Kenya went to the Blessed One and exchanged greetings with him. And when this courteous and amiable talk was finished, he sat down at one side. The Blessed One instructed, urged, roused and encouraged him with a talk on the Dhamma. Then having been instructed, urged, roused and encouraged by the Blessed One with a talk on the Dhamma, the matted hair ascetic Kenya said to the Blessed One, let Master Gotama, together with the Sangha of monks, consent to accept tomorrow's meal from me. When this was said, the Blessed One told him, the Sangha of monks is large, Kenya, consisting of 1,250 monks, and you place full confidence in the Brahmins. Stop here for a moment. So when he invited the Buddha for a meal, the Buddha said, this Sangha is very large, 1,250 monks, and you are a follower of the Brahmins, a follower of different tradition. So maybe the Buddha thought, since you are a follower of the Brahmins, whether you can get so much food from your Brahmins or whatever supporters to feed so many monks. A second time, the matted hair ascetic Kenya said to the Blessed One, although the Sangha of monks is large, Master Gotama, consisting of 1,250 monks, and although I place full confidence in the Brahmins, still let Master Gotama, together with the Sangha of monks, consent to accept tomorrow's meal from me. A second time, the Blessed One told him, the Sangha of monks is large, Kenya, etc. A third time, the matted hair ascetic said to the Blessed One, although the Sangha is large, Master Gotama, etc., etc., the same thing. Still let Master Gotama, together with the Sangha of monks, consent to accept tomorrow's meal from me. The Blessed One consented in silence. 3 times he asked the Buddha, then the Buddha consented. Then knowing that the Blessed One had consented, the matted hair ascetic Kenya rose from his seat and went to his own hermitage, where he addressed his friends and companions, his kinsmen and relatives thus: "Hear me, sirs, my friends and companions, my kinsmen and relatives. The recluse Gotama has been invited by me for tomorrow's meal, together with the Sangha of monks. Make the necessary purchases and preparations for me." "Yes, sir," they replied, and some dug out ovens, some chopped wood, some washed dishes, some set out water jugs, some prepared seats, while the matted hair ascetic Kenya himself set up a pavilion. Now on that occasion the Brahmin Sela was staying at Apana. He was a master of the three Vedas with their vocabularies, liturgy, phonology and etymology, and the histories as a fifth, skilled in philology and grammar. He was fully versed in natural philosophy and in the marks of a great man. And he was teaching the recitation of the hymns to 300 Brahmin students. At the time, the matted hair ascetic Kenya had placed full confidence in the Brahmin Sela. Then the Brahmin Sela, while walking and wandering for exercise, attended by his 300 Brahmin students, came to the matted hair ascetic Kenya's hermitage. There he saw some men digging out ovens, some chopping wood, some washing dishes, some setting out water jugs, some preparing seats, while the matted hair ascetic Kenya himself was setting up a pavilion. When he saw this, he asked the matted hair ascetic Kenya, What is Master Kenya to hold a marriage or a giving in marriage? Or is there some great sacrifice? Or has King Senia Bimbisara of Magadha been invited with a large retinue for tomorrow's meal?" And Kenya said, "I will not be holding a marriage or a giving in marriage, Master Sela, nor has King Bimbisara of Magadha been invited with a large retinue for tomorrow's meal. But I am planning a great sacrifice. The recluse Gotama, the son of the Sakyans who went forth from the Sakyan clan, has been wandering in the country of the Anguttara Pans with a large Sangha of monks, with 1,250 monks, and has come to Apana. Now a good report of Master Gotama has been spread to this effect. That Blessed One is Arahant Sammasambuddha, perfect in knowledge and conduct, etc. He has been invited by me for tomorrow's meal together with the Sangha of monks." And Sela said, "Did you say Buddha, Kenya?" "I said Buddha, Sela." "Did you say Buddha, Kenya?" "I said Buddha, Sela." Then it occurred to the Brahmin Sela, even this word Buddha is hard to come across in this world. Now the 32 marks of a great man have been handed down in our hymns, and the great man who is endowed with them has only two possible destinations, no other. If he lives the home life, he becomes a wheel-turning monarch, a righteous king who rules by the Dhamma, etc. He has these 7 treasures, etc. But if he goes forth from the home life into homelessness, he becomes an Arahant, Sammasambuddha, who draws aside the veil in the world. And he said, "My good Kenya, where is Master Gotama, the Arahant, Sammasambuddha, now living?" When this was said, the matted hair ascetic Kenya extended his right arm and said, "There, where that green line of the grove is, Master Sela." Then the Brahmin Sela together went with the 300 Brahmin students to the Blessed One. He addressed the Brahmin students, "Come quietly, sirs, tread carefully, for these Blessed Ones are difficult to approach. They wander alone like lions. When I am speaking with the recluse Gotama, do not break in and interrupt me, but wait until our talk is finished." Then the Brahmin Sela went to the Blessed One and exchanged greetings with him. When this courteous and amiable talk was finished, he sat down at one side and looked for the 32 marks of a great man on the Blessed One's body. He saw more or less the 32 marks of a great man on the Blessed One's body, except 2. He was doubtful and uncertain about 2 of the marks, and he could not decide and make up his mind about them, about the male organ being enclosed in a sheath, and about the largeness of the tongue. Then it occurred to the Blessed One, "This Brahmin Sela sees the 32 marks of a great man on me, except 2. He is doubtful and uncertain about 2 of the marks, and he cannot decide and make up his mind about them, about the male organ being enclosed in a sheath, and about the largeness of the tongue." Then the Blessed One worked such a feat of supernormal power that the Brahmin Sela saw that the Blessed One's male organ was enclosed in the sheath. Next, the Blessed One extruded his tongue, and he repeatedly touched both ear holes and both nostrils, and he covered the whole of his forehead with his tongue. Then the Brahmin Sela thought, the recluse Gotama is endowed with the 32 marks of a great man. They are complete, not incomplete. But I do not know whether he is a Buddha or not. However, I have heard from elder, aged Brahmins who speak according to the lineage of teachers that those who are Arahants, Sammasambuddhas, reveal themselves as such when their praise is spoken. Suppose I extol the recluse Gotama to his face with fitting stanzas. Then he extolled the Blessed One to his face with fitting stanzas. O perfect in body, well-favored, well-fashioned and lovely to behold. O Blessed One, golden is your color and white your teeth. You are strong. The features are seen one and all that distinguish a man as well-born. They are all to be found on your body. These marks that reveal a great man, with eyes clear, with countenance bright, majestic, erect as a flame. In the midst of this body of recluses, you shine like the blazing sun. Among so lovely to look on, with skin of so golden a sheen, with beauty so rare, why should you be content with the life of a recluse? You are fit to be a king, lord of chariots, a monarch who rules, who makes the wheel turn, a victor in all the four quarters, and lord of the Jambu tree grove. With warriors and great princes, all devoted to your service, O Gotama, you should reign as ruler of men, king above all kings. And the Buddha replied, I am already a king, O Sela. The Blessed One replied, I am supreme king of the Dhamma. I make the wheel of Dhamma revolve, the wheel that none can stop. And Sela, you claim full enlightenment, the Brahmin Sela said. You tell me, O Gotama, I am supreme king of the Dhamma. I make the wheel of Dhamma revolve. Who is your general, that disciple who follows in the master's own way? Who is it who helps you to turn the wheel set in motion by you? The wheel set in motion by me, the Blessed One replied. That same supreme wheel of Dhamma, Sariputta, the Tathagata's son, helps me in turning this wheel. What must be known is directly known. What must be developed has been developed. What must be abandoned has been abandoned. Therefore, Brahmin, I am a Buddha. So let your doubts about me cease, and let decision take their place, for it is always hard to gain sight of the enlightened ones. I am the one whose presence in the world is very rarely come upon. I am the Sammasambuddha. I, O Brahmin, am the supreme physician. I am the Holy One without compare, who has crushed all Mara's teeming hordes. Having defeated all my enemies, I rejoice, free from fear. Stop for a moment. So you see, the Buddha says that his son, the one that turns the Dhamma wheel, exactly like him, is Sariputta. Of all the disciples, the Buddha holds Sariputta in the highest esteem. So this is what the original sutta say. But when you read the later Mahayana books, they always put down Sariputta. And Sela said, O sirs, hear this, hear what he says. The man of vision, the physician, the mighty hero who roars like a lion in the forest, who, even though of outcast birth, would not believe him when he saw that he is the Holy One beyond compare, who has crushed all Mara's teeming hordes. Now let him follow me who wants, and who wants not, let him depart, for I will go forth under him, this man of lofty wisdom. And his pupils said, If, O sir, you now approve this teaching of the enlightened one, we too will go forth under him, this man of lofty wisdom. There are 300 Brahmins here who with uplifted hands implore, Oh, may we live the holy life under you, Blessed One. The Buddha said, The holy life is well proclaimed, O Sela, said the Blessed One, to be seen here and not delayed. One who trains with diligence will find a fruitful going forth. Then the Brahmin Sela and his assembly received the going forth under the Blessed One. They received the full ordination. Then when the night had ended, the matted hair ascetic Kenya had good food of various kinds prepared in his own hermitage. And he had the time announced to the Blessed One. "It is time, Master Gotama, the meal is ready." Then, it being morning, the Blessed One dressed, and taking his bowl and outer robe, he went with the Sangha of monks to the hermitage of the matted hair ascetic Kenya, and sat down on the seat made ready. Then, with his own hands, the matted hair ascetic Kenya served and satisfied the Sangha of monks, headed by the Buddha, with various kinds of good food. When the Blessed One had eaten and had withdrawn his hand from the bowl, the matted hair ascetic Kenya took a low seat and sat down at one side. Thereupon the Blessed One gave him his blessing with these stanzas. "Burnt offerings are the glory of fires. Savitri, the glory of Vedic hymns. Glory of human beings, a king. Glory of flowing rivers, the sea. The moon is the glory of the stars. The sun is the glory of all that shine. Merit is the glory of all who aspire. The Sangha, the glory of those who give." When the Blessed One had given his blessing with these stanzas, he rose from his seat and departed. Then, not long after their full ordination, dwelling alone, withdrawn, diligent, ardent, and resolute, the Venerable Sela and his assembly, by realizing for themselves with direct knowledge, here and now entered upon and abided in that supreme goal of the holy life, for the sake of which clansmen rightly go forth from the home life into homelessness. They directly knew birth is destroyed, the holy life has been lived, what had to be done has been done. There is no more coming to any state of being. And the Venerable Sela, together with his assembly, became Arahants. Then the Venerable Sela, together with his assembly, went to the Blessed One. Having arranged his upper robe on one shoulder, extending his hands in reverential greeting towards the Blessed One, he addressed him with these stanzas. 8 days have passed, all-seeing One, since we went to you for refuge. In these 7 nights, O Blessed One, we have been tamed in your teaching. You are the Buddha, you are the teacher, you are the sage, the conqueror of Mara. Having cut off all evil tendencies, you have crossed and guided humanity across. You have surmounted all attachments, you have removed all the taints, you are a lion free from clinging, you have abandoned fear and dread. Here these 300 monks stand, with hands held out in adoration. O hero, extend your feet and let these great beings worship the teacher. That's the end of the sutta. So these Sela, you see, you find the Indians, they are very religious people. After they meet a holy man like the Buddha, they are willing to renounce and become monks under him. And all 300 of them, after only 8 days, they became Arahants. Possibly they have already cultivated jhana, meditative absorption. In the earlier sutta about Brahmayu, after he passed away, the Buddha said that he was an anagamin. That shows that he had attained 4 jhanas. So even as a layman, he had already attained 4 jhanas. So you see, these Indians, they take religion very seriously. Even laymen, they can practice and attain the jhanas at home. That's why I know of several Indian men. They have a family, but in their house, they keep one room, which they call their prayer room. They don't allow the wife and children inside that room. And they do their meditation there, they do their prayers there. So even as a layman, some of them they practice religion seriously, even as a layman. So, of course, very few of them can actually attain the jhanas. So, you see this Sela, after 8 days only, he and his disciples, 300, all became Arahants. Okay, we stop here for the sutta. Anything to discuss?
In the sutta you just explained to us, you were saying that Buddha addressed Sariputta as his son for helping to establish the Dhamma. But the son is not in the spiritual sense, isn't it?
Yeah, because this The question asked is that just like a king has a general or a son, so he asked, who is your general, your son? So the Buddha said, Sariputta, the Tathagata's son, helps me in turning the wheel. So the Buddha calls him the Tathagata's son, the Buddha's son. In fact, all the monks under the Buddha are called Sakyaputta. Sakya refers to Sakyamuni, our Buddha. And Putta means son. So all monks are sons of the Buddha. All monks. And the Buddha says that when a person ordains as a monk, as a Buddhist monk, his old lay person has died. And he's born again, born from the mouth of the Buddha. The Buddha used a simile like the Brahmins. The Brahmins like to say that they are born from the mouth of Mahabrahma, the great Brahma. Well, whereas all other castes are born from the feet of Brahma. And all the others are black fellows. They call other people black fellows. They only are white. So the Buddha uses simile to say that all the monks are born from the Buddha's mouth. Why born from the Buddha's mouth? Because they have heard the Dhamma from the Buddha's mouth. And after hearing the Dhamma from the Buddha's mouth, they become a completely different person. Having understood the Dhamma, that's why they are born from the Buddha's mouth. Okay, if there's nothing, we'll end here.